Hello, Jabber. What are you staring at? Nope, that's not what you were staring at. Hey guys, today I am going to be doing a book haul. I know that's kind of a surprise considering at the very beginning of this year I said that I wasn't going to be buying that many books, and that most likely I'll end up doing a book haul at the very end of the year. But I got some extra cash on me and I was like, this is the perfect time to actually go a little bit crazy and buy a bunch of books. So I did get a bunch of books, but I also got some movies. Before I get into the major book haul that is coming your way, I thought I would share with you the 3 films that I bought. Captain Phillips, starring Tom Hanks and Barkhad Abdi. This is about a Captain Richard Phillips who's taken hostage by a Somalian pirate. The second film is Master and Commander, and this is about a captain of a vessel who is being attacked by the French warships, and he has to decide between fighting and running. This also stars Russell Crowe, and I watched this years and years ago when I was a kid, and I didn't know nothing about Russell Crowe, and also I wasn't really into the film, but I think that's because I was a kid, so I'm hoping that I'll actually like it now. The last film that I got was Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. So now on to the book haul. So there's 3 books that I got before this major book by Huckleberry Finn by Samuel Clemens, which is the pseudonym for Mark Twain. I think most everybody knows about Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer, and if you know the story of Tom Sawyer, you should know who Huckleberry Finn is. So this is about his adventures. Then I got Handle with Care by Judy Picoult, and this is about 2 parents who are expecting a child. Their only hope is that their child will be healthy and that they can give this child a happy life. But they end up with a very sick child. I don't know what kind of disease it is because the synopsis doesn't tell you, and I think that's part of the whole story, so of course you don't want to be spoiled in that. And the kind of disease keeps them up at night. They have a lot of bills to pay and a lot of extra and special care that the child has to have. And when something major happens, they're left with all these questions. Was it the mother's fault for not knowing sooner of what the child had? What if they can't provide her with the best care that they, etc., etc., etc. All these questions that what any good parent would be asking in these kind of situations. They love their child and they're scared. So I'm really interested to see what happened. All these crazy questions to actually surface up and how these parents and the child handle what's going on. The Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri. I read the first part of this book, which is the Inferno, and I really loved it, so I was wanting the complete story, and I finally found the one I wanted. And this book is about a man who goes on a journey through hell, purgatory, and heaven. I think this book deals with a lot of metaphors. It's literal, but it's metaphorical at the same time. At least for me, that's how I see it. I find it very intriguing and interesting to see a different perspective and the way a lot of people might have seen heaven and hell in the time that he was alive. I really like the writing style. I think you would call it poem style, stanza style. And the translation was done by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. I really like this copy, the way that they did the cover, which really does a lot for what's inside. And I really love this because I remember a certain part when he goes through hell, and this really depicts that very well. Also, there's these pictures inside that help you kind of picture what's going on throughout his journey. So I'm really excited to actually dig into this story and enjoy it and maybe get a little bit more of a deeper meaning of sort of things. Help by Catherine Stockett. It's about Aibileen, Minnie, and Skeeter. Aibileen and Minnie are black maids living in the 1962 Jackson, Mississippi. Aibileen is very quiet about obeying orders but she's becoming bitter about it. Minnie, on the other hand, is very loud and outspoken about her position, but she ends up serving a newcomer who has a bunch of secrets. And then we also have Skeeter, a white socialite who comes home from college with ambition, and when she arrives home, she finds that the beloved maid who raised her, Constantine, has disappeared. These three women end up with a unique friendship with one goal in common, which is writing a book. So unfortunately, I did not know that the film was a book, so I never had the chance to read this before, but I really liked the film, and I'm really hoping that it did this book justice. I'm really excited to get reconnected with these three women and the hilariousness of certain things and just being touched by each of their stories. The next book is Emma by Jane Austen, which is about a woman named Emma who's a relentless matchmaker but never believes that she'll actually get married herself. And Jane Austen herself says that Emma will probably be only liked by her. I remember trying to read this when I was much younger, but I think because I was much younger, I didn't really have the ability to enjoy it as much as I probably will be able to now because of reading classics much more fluently now, and because I've read another book of hers. So I'm hoping that my opinion of this book and my ability to read it will be much easier. Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. I'm not sure exactly what this is about, but it sounds very intriguing because it's narrated by an invisible man. We're not really sure who he is, and we travel through Deep South to the streets and basements of Harlem, from the horrifying battle royal where black men are reduced to fighting animals to communist rally where they are elevated to the status of trophies. So it sounds very intriguing, and like I said, I'm not really sure what it's exactly about, but I'm really hoping that I'll like it. I don't remember who it was exactly, but someone on BookTube has mentioned this book, and ever since I was intrigued by it, so I definitely am glad to have picked this up, and I'm looking forward to reading it. Ireland by Frank Delaney. So I'm really intrigued because this takes place in Ireland, and I've always been intrigued with this country because my grandfather came from Ireland, and I don't know, something about the beauty of the land and their culture and things like that have always captured my imagination and my heart. So I'm really excited to see more of it through the eyes of this boy and through the stories that this storyteller may have told. The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett, which is about a young girl who has to live with her uncle after her parents has died. She's a very spoiled and sickly child, and she ends up finding this garden, which ends up helping her deal with her loneliness and her angst and her anger. She also meets a boy who's able to talk to animals, and a cousin of hers who's very sickly and bedridden. I watched the Disney film adaptation of this book, so I really liked it, but I'm not really sure if it actually stayed true to the book. I'm excited to see how this story actually unfolded, and I'm excited to meet the boy who actually was able to talk to animals and all that, so this is something I'm very much looking forward to reading. The Blind Assassin by Margaret Atwood. This is a psychological thriller and a anti-utopian type world. I was actually looking for The Handmaid's Tale when I saw that they had Margaret Atwood there, but they didn't have it, so I took the next best option, getting a book that was actually by her. So I'm not exactly sure what the exact synopsis is, but it's a thriller, psychological thriller, and I've always been intrigued by that kind of stuff. I love thrillers, I love psychological stuff, so I'm very intrigued by it. Then I got Dune by Frank Herbert. So I'm super excited to get into a sci-fi novel because I've only read one other sci-fi novel, which is Ender's Game, and I really like that, so I'm excited to go deeper into sci-fi. Then we have The Sound and the Fury by William Faulkner, and I'm not exactly sure what this one is about. I have been wanting to read William Faulkner for a while, so I thought I would pick this up. Wifang by Jack London, which is about a young man who decides to go gold hunting, and on the journey to the gold dig, he finds a wolf dog who's being abused by his owner, and so he decides to rescue it. And by doing so, the wolf and him create this bond. And I'm very intrigued by this story. Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. This book takes place in 1806 in the throes of the Napoleonic Wars. I think this is an anti-hero book. These two magicians kind of fight over things. They get mad at each other and all this stuff. So I find it very intriguing. It's fantasy, I'm pretty sure. So I'm excited to read this. A lot of people on BookTube have talked about this, and I know that I've been wanting to read this for years. The Lost Symbol by Dan Brown. And this is another Robert Langdon adventure. This is the third book in his series. I want to get my hands on this book since I read Angels and Demons and The Da Vinci Code, which is the first two books of this series, and which I also read many years ago. So that's craziness, how long it took me to get this book, but I'm super excited that I finally got it. The Virgin Suicides by Jeffrey Eugenides. I already read this book and I loved it, but it was in ebook format and I wanted it in physical format. So this book is about 5 sisters who commit suicide one after another in the span of a year, and we are told this story through the eyes of the neighborhood boys who are pretty much obsessed with them, and they always watch them at a distance, and they're intrigued and confused by the happenings, and so we're told of all what's happening and trying to understand what's going on alongside them. And I remember I really liked Eugenides' writing style and the way he told the story. It was very unique and different for me. The Great Gatsby by S. Scott Fitzgerald, and this is about a wealthy man named Jay Gatsby who has all these crazy extravagant parties every night, who's in love with Daisy Buchanan, who's actually married. The book takes place in the 1920s when a lot of this crazy stuff was happening, you know, the parties and the drinking and the sex. So I really enjoyed this book a whole lot. I think if I looked at this book deeper, I'd probably find a lot of the themes that Fitzgerald was trying to get at, but the first time I really didn't do that, so I'm hoping that my second time reading it will help me dig a little bit deeper. The 10th Circle. I'm really intrigued by this book, as I am with most of her books. I'm really excited to see where this story will lead and how Jodi Picoult will handle it. I am just in love with Jodi Picoult's writing and all that, so that was my book haul. If you've read any of these books, tell me what you thought of them below, just no spoilers. I hope you liked what you saw. If you did, give me a thumbs up. It's very much appreciated. Also, I would love a comment from you if you have anything you want to say to me. And if you're new to my channel and you liked what you saw and you're interested to see more, don't forget to sub down below. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye!